So yes, so React Rails.
Ruby gem.
So yeah, so we're gonna talk a little bit about how to put React on Rails. There are actually how many Rails developers here? Well,
I guess.
okay.
I wouldn't say professional. You can get into Rails and be okay.
or any backend. I mean, like a Python, Django, Flask, or Java. I mean, but for Rails, I mean, there are three ways to integrate React with Rails. The first way is the best. So you just write a React application, just like we did with the Webpack, the Webpack, and you compile with the bundle.js, and then you just request to your Rails API backend. So you have a Rails API.
So does without using any of these gems? It's just like having an API and you pass
Yeah, so
front-end
first way is just a Rails API. Just turn your Rails into API, and then just use your front end will just be requesting like a normal API.
With Rails 5, you can do Rails generate API and it will just
Right. Yeah.
what you need.
Or you can use this Rails API gem and whatever. So it's first way, and the second way is to use this. So you have the first way you basically have two apps. You have a React app, you have a Rails app, and they talk with the API. And the second way is the lightest integration. You use React Rails. So you just put it in a gem install and bundle install, and then go through this instruction. So you can.
What would be the advantage or the disadvantage, the pros and cons of doing the first one or this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about the comparison in a bit. So here, then you can just open up a Rails. So actually, I have a project made with that. If you're interested, right here. So this is a Rails project. I made a little chat application with that. So, but I use Flux, but I don't use out. I use Fluxer, so it's a little bit different. So what you do is, in your JavaScript, you just put in the components here. So like chat. So again, you can just write normal React code here in your Rails app, and then in your Rails view. Let me see, home here. So you would just use the global and then call the load chat box here.
So when is using the React Rails?
Yeah, so this is using React Rails gem.
Oh, you use the gem?
Yeah, this is a gem. This is the lightweight gem open source by React. And with that, you can just put React components inside your Rails app like that. Just put it in like that. And the third way is a full-blown way that Chris was mentioning. You use React on Rails. This gem, this is not open source by Facebook, so some company made it. So they probably wanted React so badly that they made such a gem, and so you can put this with React on Rails. And the difference between the three is so the second way, the one using this React Rails gem, you can only put components inside your Rails app. You cannot do like a whole application. You cannot npm install any dependency. You cannot make it. It's hard to put in like Flux or like some third-party library like Waypoint. If you want to put in Waypoint, you have to copy their code and put inside your own assets folder. So there's no dependency management. And with the first way, if you have two separate apps, then the first client side is entirely in React. So you have npm, you can npm install, you can do all that, and you have Webpack, you have hot reload, that kind of thing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So for the just front end React one, would that be a Node application?
Yeah, there will be a Node application. So you will be npm init and then npm install your dependencies.
Okay.
And the third way, She's a full blown. They just go through great length to put Webpack and put everything in your Rails asset folder. So technically, you can still do npm install, but I haven't tried it, so I don't know how hard or how easy it is.
It's easy. It's easy to get up and running with that.
Okay.
Gem.
Yeah.
If you're really dedicated on using all the goodies that we've been learning on the
Right.
Rails application, you could use this, but you're kind of dependent on this gem. They seem to be updating it often, and I got an error like while I was doing it, and 4 hours before there was an error, the same error, and they solved it. So like it's
Okay.
very like up to date right now. I don't
Okay.
know how long it'll be maintaining it though.
Right. But then
So the best option is to have just Rails separated from.
yeah, the best option I would say is to do two different apps, like a
Yeah.
front end app.
Do you have Devise on your Rails app?
Mhm.
So I was wondering how you could work around that, like authentication, logging in to your Rails.
You can use device on Rails API app.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, if you have two separate apps, you have to, if you already have existing app, you have to rewrite your front end into a React. That a lot of company cannot do. So you have to, put React inside your own app. Then one way is to use this React Rails. It's very lightweight, but you cannot use a lot of goodies from React community. So that's and also all three ways you can't really do server rendering. We haven't talked about backend rendering, but it would not be available to you. So it's something to think about.
Basically, we're screwed.
Yeah, well, we're gonna talk about burn stack. So that's where we see a lot of good stuff we can use. So now that's Rails. Any other questions on Rails? Not gonna cover a whole lot. And also, we want to talk about because we talk about Flux and say probably you're not gonna need Flux. So you might wonder when you would need Flux. So and I mentioned that if you have a component and your states are hard to manage, you see a lot of parents talking to children, popping stuff up. You probably want to use Flux. And the other way is the other scenario you want to use Flux or Redux is you are building an app entirely in React. So you have users logging in, you have sessions, you have routes you want to manage. So let me just show you the app I've been working on. I mean, just
I guess that also another thing that it would be good to do all the React, like in the different app, would be maybe when I try to build a native app, you will use easier the code that is just React, right? Because if it's React on Rails, and if you want to build a React native, it's the same as building like a different.
Yeah, it's same as building a different. Right.
To do like separate them and then you can use the code.
Yeah, you can still use the code. Yeah. So let me just show you. So an example of an app built entirely in React is so this is what I'm building for my company.
Nice.
And it's entirely in React. Everything is a React component. So this is an example of how you would you can be ambitious. You don't have to build just a single component. You can build a lot of stuff. You can build this search, say like auto suggestions. You can build that. You can build a calendar in React.
Cool.
There's some style issues. You can build a drop down. You can build. There's some still buggy issues, but I'm just demonstrating that. And you can build a search, and you can build a hard reload like that. So it's if you're ambitious, you want to make an app entirely in React, you can do that. You are fully capable of doing that. You can npm install a lot of help from the React community. There's a React Google Map, and there's a lot of things you're already halfway there. So and what I'm saying is, if you want to build something in as complicated as this in the magnitude of the whole app, you will want to utilize something like Flux or Redux, because you have a lot of states trying to manage. For example, if I can here, I want to select this, select a room. So a lot of things to look out for, and that's where you should keep your states in a single container, and then when stuff changes, you only do Flux or Redux to change that container. Okay, so that's my introduction to how you would want to keep stuff inside your component or in a global state like Flux. So let's go back to our workshop. And then let's start on Redux here, npm start. So let's click on Redux here. See that okay. Whoa, it's weird. Let's see. So is everybody here? Just click on Redux. So we're gonna use a counter app to illustrate Redux. So what's a Redux? Redux is actually the same concept as Flux, and it was open sourced by Dan Abramov. And what he's trying to solve is he's trying to do hard reload with Flux, but he's having difficulty with Flux because Flux is an event-based structure. You do a dispatch. Remember last time we do a dispatch? And that's event-based. So you have to attach event listener and so on and so forth. So with that, you cannot do a hard reload. When you change code, you cannot just go in to swap out like the old code and then put in the new code, because Flux is event-based. So he's thinking how he would do a hard reloadable Flux. That's why he wrote Redux. And how Redux will work is basically, you have actions just like Flux, and you have reducers, and you have a store. So that's a three component. Actions, it's just like in Flux, you have an action type and whatever you want to dispatch. Okay, but instead of dispatching the action, the action calls the reducer, and the reducer will just given the action and then reduce the state and then put it in a single store. So that's the major difference between Flux and Redux is in Redux there's only one store. So if you have a user state, if you have a like to-do state, if you have a calendar state, everything's kept inside one store in Redux. Okay. So let me just go through operationally how this works, and then I'll explain in deep. So here, we can just uncomment out. So I have these actions from the Redux action store. So here, when I want to click on increment, I'll do this props.dispatch, and I'll increment here. So operationally, you dispatch your action like that. When you want to decrease, you decrease by dispatching the decrement Redux action. Okay. And then I need so I need to map that. So this is how you connect. So we have from the store there's a state. We map the state to our props like this. We define a map state to props function, and then we return what's gonna be our props. Okay, so our props counter is gonna be I'm gonna get counter from the state. So and I connect my Redux state to my app by calling a connect given by this helper from React Redux. Okay, so I'm just gonna close here, Redux app. Then I'll go into my action and then here. So whenever I'm calling the action, I'm registering this action type as like this, just like in Flux. I have to bind the listeners. I'm registering the action type here. And then once that action is called, there's a reducer here that's depending on the same action type. And there's a big switch statement inside my reducer. That means that if this action is coming in, I want to return a state added by 1 as my state because I'm doing a counter. If this action, decrement counter, is coming in, I'm reducing the state by -1. Okay? And then this is root reducer is I'm doing a combined reducer. That's just redundant here because I have only one reducer. But if I have 2 reducers, for example, I have a function, say, to do reducer, and I have like the same switch statement, then I would put my to do reducer here. Okay, so this combined reducer just helps you combine all your reducers into one single reducer for your store. Okay. So that's how, because it's counter, it's not too complicated.
And so that reducer just shoves all the values into one place?
Yeah. So it just, reducer just look at what actions coming in and then just manages, just mutates your state for you here.
So this looks very similar to Flux. Where is the biggest difference?
Right, because this counter is too simple. You can see, we're gonna
It's
do
the same action, the same dispatch,
Right.
except that we don't use the word event in there, but like everything else seems to follow similar kind of structure.
right, but in Redux there's no dispatch anymore. It's all function. It's all function chaining functions. So when you call this function, it's like actually just one function calling the other. So and in Flux you have a dispatch and some your store is listening to the dispatching. So it's an event listening.
So you have your components doing actions and influencing the store through methods or functions.
Right.
And then instead of a dispatcher, you just call those functions again?
Right. You just call that function and that function reduce your states to your new state. That's why it's called reducer. Because the reducer takes in a state and takes in an action and then reduce your state to a new state. So and it's all just function calling functions. So there's no dispatching, there's no event listening. That's a major difference. And it's much cleaner and much easier to handle. And because it's function calling functions, you can chain functions together. So in your store, you can, here, I haven't talked about a store. So here you have to import create store and given that initial state, you create store with your initial state. So I'm going to demonstrate how this works. And here, because it's just function calling functions, I can just put a function in between. So there's a Redux community that develop a lot of goodies, like for example the dev tools, and I can just put it in between. So when my action is coming in, my dev tools can see the action and see the state as a result. It's pretty abstract, but let me just demonstrate this here. So I put in the dev tool. So this is open the dev window here. So when I call the action, I can see the action is calling in real time. And better than that, I can do time travel. This is all the fuss about Redux because it's just function calling functions. You can just do time travel and go backwards.
Oh, wow.
So it's very easy to debug. You can just do that because there's nothing under the hood. It's just a function dispatching an action, another function dispatch another action. So the dev tool can look at all those functions and then do time travel between them. So with Flux, you cannot do this because it's event-based system. You dispatch an event and you dispatch another event, and you cannot do time travel between them because we don't know who happened first.
An event cannot be uninvented.
Exactly. So this is why React is so good. And there's a lot of stuff happening in the community, in the Redux community. So I'll encourage you to check them out. There's dev tools. There's a lot of different. Let me just put it up here. Redux dev tool. So. And there's a lot of people pitching in to do different flavors of dev tools. You can do this with a bar to do the time travel. Or you can see your state mutating in a console.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of them. That's why. And the story is that Dan Abramov, he's a developer in Russia. He just do this and then gave a talk in a React conference, and then. Next thing you know, 6 months later, he's poached by Facebook. So he's working at Facebook London now. So that's the story of how working on open source projects can get you really somewhere. Okay, so yeah, and it is really, there's no magic here. There's a lot of boilerplate you have to remember. You have to remember how to write an action, how to write a reducer, how to do a switch statement, and then how to combine your reducers, and then make sure you create a store with the initial state. And this is just for hot module replacement to change your code in real time. Okay. So that's Flux, but no, that's Redux. Any questions on this? No.
How to use it.
So I'm going to try to walk you through by changing our to-do app into a Redux app, and it's quite complicated. So stick with me, and then hopefully I'm not stuck somewhere. Let me just put it out here. Okay, it's already here. Okay. And I'll encourage you to read this cartoon. So there's a cartoon. It goes into much deeper into all the major players and how they interact with each other. So basically, they just present this in a funny way how things work together. So you can read that. But operationally, I'm going through is really because after you read this, you're not gonna know how to write a Redux app. So I'm just gonna take you through how to convert your existing app into a Redux app. All right. So first thing, I'm gonna create a Redux folder. Redux folder. So okay, I have my to-do app already here. Okay, I'm gonna create a file called store.js. Create another file called actions.js. Another file called reducer.js. Okay. Now here, okay, I want to import. I want to connect to Redux, so I have to import from say it's Redux React, and so the thing is, with Redux now, you don't keep your state, so state is all in your store now. But I'm keeping my new to do here, so I don't really want what I'm typing. I don't really need to talk to Redux. I want to keep something locally, so that's a decision that you have to make when you architecture your app. Okay. And when I connect to Redux, for example, this handle save here. I don't do set states anymore. So I just this props.dispatch, just like we did in the counter. So I'm gonna dispatch some action to my Redux store, but first I have to import that first. So I'm gonna load to do, right? Initially I'm gonna load to do's, and I'm gonna do add to do from Redux actions. Okay. You see that I haven't written anything in these files, but I'm already just writing what I'm trying to do. Okay, I'm gonna dispatch an action when I'm adding a to-do. I'm gonna dispatch an action when I'm loading to-dos. So this separates your concerns, right? Your front-end guy, your components guy can just write components, and when he wants something down to the store, he just dispatch something. And I can be the Redux guy on a team. I manage all the stores, so you can just tell me, okay, you're dispatching that action to me. What do you want the state to change? Give me some specs. Then I just write into my store. Okay, that's how you scale your app and scale your team. And that's what React and Redux is all about. It enables you to scale up your app really smoothly. So when you're adding developer, you can just keep working on more components. Okay, so when I'm saving, I want this to add to do. Okay, I should have a new to do somewhere. Okay, this state new to do, since I'm still keeping it in my state. And I'm loading to dos here. Okay, so this is gonna props.dispatch load to dos and giving it to dos as argument. Okay. See, I haven't written any actions, but I know what I want. I know what I need. So this is how you do in Redux. Now I'm not gonna worry about delete and edit. So I'm just gonna do add to do and load to dos. Okay. So here I need to map my state to my prop, my state to my props. Yes. If you allow me, I'm just gonna copy this couple lines of code from here. Okay. So I'm mapping my states. So this is to-dos, and I'm going to have a state.to-do.to-dos, state.to-dos, and I have is loading right before, so I have state.to-do, state is loading. So I know I'm going to have a state like this, and I want to export that. And this is copy. So this is to do app. Okay. So what I did is whenever I see a set state, I change it to list.props.dispatch some action. Okay. That's number one thing I did. Number two thing is I connect my app to Redux by setting up the mapping between state and props, and also by calling the connect here. Okay, so connect takes an argument is this function, and then returns a function that takes another argument which is your app. Okay, it just wraps your app so that the Redux state can go down as props. Just simple as that. Let me just do some check. There's nothing that I misspelled. React Redux. It's React Redux, not Redux React. Okay. And what else I need to change? So I need to change this here. I don't need this wrapper anymore, so I need a wrapper like this. Import provider from, I think it's Redux. So no, it's React Redux. So it's a React helper for Redux. Then I'm going to wrap my component. So instead of just app alone like that, I have to wrap it in between a provider. It's given to me by Redux. Okay. And so this is user my key. So the same. But then I have a store here. So I need to hydrate my provider with the initial state. Okay, so first of all, I need to create a store. This is here. So I'm calling create store from my store JS, which I'm gonna write later. I'm not writing that. I haven't written that. And store actually takes the argument as initial state. So I need to define an initial state. Initial state. So this is a to-do state. This needs to be defined like that. So to-dos. Initially, I have to-dos is empty array, and its loading is true. Okay. And I'm gonna give it to my create store. Alright, that's how I create a store here. So I stick it into my provider. Then my provider can hydrate my app with the initial state. Okay. Now I think it's time to write some actions. Okay. Well, to save time, I'm gonna copy the boilerplate over. So like that. Okay. So I don't have a counter, so I'm gonna have low to-dos. That's my action type. Low to-dos, semicolon, and add to-do, add to-do. Okay, so I have add to-do. That's my action. Here I have no, sorry. First should be low to-dos. So I have low to-dos. And now I have a second attribute. Since to-do, I'm loading to-do from backend, right? So I'm coming in with a bunch of to-dos. I can just do to-dos equals to-dos. Okay. A shorthand way is to this ES6. Remember? So this is equal to to-dos. Okay. So and then add to-do. I have a to-do, and I have a new to-do coming in, right? So I'm supposed to have that. So I have a new to-do again. This is new to-do, shorthand. Okay, so that's my action. And remember, I'm calling my actions here. I called it before without even writing it, but because what I want to call, and so I don't have a Redux guy on my team. It's just me, so I'm just writing my own. So and make sure the names are the same. Otherwise, you're gonna get an error. Okay. So reducer. Let me copy over the boilerplate. Reducer. Okay. So again, change the constants, low to-dos, add to-do, and combine reducers is the same. So combine. So instead of counter, I'm gonna call it to-do state. And the one big catch up here is this to-do state has to match your initial state to-do state. This is something when you go out read the documentation, it's pretty hard to figure out. It took a lot of beginners, a lot of tries to figure it out. So to-do state in your reducer, it has to match your initial state. So that's that. So I have low to-dos. Okay. So what's gonna return to me? So my initial state is no longer 0. So I'm gonna return a new copy of the state. Yeah, I don't want to mutate my state. So this is where we want to use object.assign. Okay. So signature state like that. So object.assign, does everybody remember how object.assign works?
Just this.
Let me just demo this right here. Oh. So if I have an object, say, if I call object.assign, I have an initial and the object that I want to mutate. And if I do a is equal to 5, so it will just mutate whatever. If there's a key, then that matches the key that's in the object, just mutates that. If there's no such key, it will just add it on to the end.
That's handy.
Right. So and it's always returning a new object. So it's not mutating my old object. Okay. My object is still the same. Okay. So that's why we want to use that here. So Redux is very neatly tied into the immutable philosophy. So everything in the store needs to be immutable. You cannot mutate anything. Otherwise, the hard reload, the time travel is going to be off. Okay. So, so why is it always return? Assign. So I have to-dos. What do I have? I'm just gonna have action.to-dos. Is loading false. So let me just explain. Action is this action. So this piece of objects call your action. And action.type is load to-dos. Action.to-dos is my to-dos that's coming in. Okay? So I'm calling action.to-dos because this piece of action gives the reducer this object, the to-dos of which is the to-dos that I want. Okay? So I'm returning a new state just like that. So I'm just gonna copy this over and put it here. and this is my add to do, right? Add to do. Again, I'm returning an object that assign. No, I don't care about it's loading here. So, geez. So here would be same spread operator, state.todos. So whatever to-dos that I had before, and then action.new to-do. Okay. Remember the action now from add to do is coming in here. So this piece of action gives me this piece of function gives me this action object, and when I call new to do, gives me the new to do that I want. So I put it here. Okay, and you always need a default. That's that. That's that. Everything's closed. Should be good. And then you, if you have more than one reducers, you need to call combine reducers. Otherwise, you don't have to. But once you decide to use Redux, you will always have more than one reducers. Otherwise, why bother? So you have a combine reducers, and then you export that. Okay, that's my reducers. Questions on reducer? No. And store will be just the same. I just have to copy everything over. Okay, so you import create store, compose. Compose is how you compose some middlewares, like developer tools. It's your middleware. You compose them. For example, later on we're gonna see another middleware called Thunk that's just allows you to do asynchronous action calls. So if you put a lot of, you can put a lot of middlewares like this and blah blah blah. I'll put it here like that, or middlewares. Okay. Otherwise, it will be like that, and then you create a store with the initial state and your reducer, which you load from here. And this piece of code is just for the hard reload. Okay. Okay. So that's it. Actions, reducers, and store. So what I have to do if I want to run this is to install all the ingredients, right? So right now I don't have any Redux here. So what do I want? Let me look at here. I want a Redux here, React Redux. That's good. I need that. That's just a connection between React and Redux. And Redux here. I just put it in my.
Can you use Redux with anything else?
Yeah, Redux you can use it with Angular. It's yeah, it's not tied to React at all. So if you need a state management store, then you will use Redux.
Angular uses states as well.
Well, I can't answer that because I'm not. Yeah, but if they wanna manage a state, they would consider using that. Then I want Redux developer tools. So put it here. Okay. What else do I want? That's probably it. So, I'm just gonna npm install. Okay, and check my node modules. See, I have those. I have Redux, yeah, React, all right here. All right, now I'm just gonna try to run and see if I've made any mistakes. Oops, something's not. It's missing, probably missing a parenthesis or something. Yeah. Okay. No? What's this? That. Okay. Let's do that. Fixing some stores. Fixing something in store.
I'm gonna try as much, go as far as I can with just React and stay
Well,
until I can't.
it's pain to set up initially, but then you just be, you know. Ooh. Store. Okay. In my store here. Okay. I need Redux. Store just Redux actions. Okay. To-do stay. Did you say to-do state? Define. Just get to-do state. To-dos. Keep that there. Oops. Redux apps not defined. What's that? Okay, to-do app.
What about the render? Is the render closed?
Yeah, I think it's close.
Okay.
So map that of undefined. App, All right, I have something here. Oh, okay. So one thing is I need to change my states. I have states to do here. Needs to be props. So everything is now sitting in my props now. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully working now. Good. Now one thing, let me put in my create that window tools. Let me just copy that over. How about that? Redux, create that tool windows. No, it's not here. I have. Where is it? Okay. Then I need to open my DevTool windows. Open a window here. Just need to make sure. Okay, so now it's open. Hopefully, does it add? Oh, that's okay. But Now I can time travel backwards. All right, so that's Redux for you. I converted it to do app to Redux. If you pull from my Webpack setup, there's a branch Redux. It's exactly the same setup. So if you want to play around, you can do that. Play around with the time travel. Okay. So let it sink in for you. Just gonna take a 5-minute break. Okay.
Sure.
Run through that stuff.
Waka waka.
Redux.
I'm gonna have to watch the video again 5 times. Does this all seem very complicated for something relatively simple?
To me it does, but I can't use me as a example.
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated.
Like the site that he was showing, like showing the state of different components and stuff. Why do you need to track the state of a drop down like that?
No, I don't think he's doing that for the listing pages and stuff like that. Maybe for other things, like for search and filters that he uses on the site.
Yeah, that makes sense. Guys, just use Meteor. It's all built in.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna make things easier.
Well, I think you just gotta break through the barrier.
Silly me.
This is all so people don't wait a millisecond for their page to load. You remember that?
Yeah.
It becomes more evident when there's a lot more data.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, it's built by Facebook, right? It's for Facebook solutions.
Yeah. It's for things that change a lot. Twitter had something called flight.js, just a library that does a whole bunch of things. It was kind of similar to React, but like, I don't know where it went.
Probably not enough push.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a big fan.
That's just the integration that's difficult.
Right,
Once
initial.
you get everything connected, like it's
Yeah.
just iterating upon.
Yeah. The initial setup is always painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be an npm package, watch, that like does the initial setup for you eventually. That's really cool, though.
Yeah. So
How do you run that window, that dev tool window?
so that you just have to have this script that calls the dev tools and then open a window for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And people don't really write this piece of code; they just copy always from DevTools repo. Okay, so let me just walk it back again slowly. There's just 4 pieces to the this integration. You need an action, a reducer, a store, and also the Redux connection right here. The major players are Connect and also the provider. Okay, and also you need to create a store. So create a store gives you a chance to inject your initial state. So I inject it right here. I can put whatever state I want in here initially. Okay. So, and you create a store by calling a configure store and then with the initial state. And the provider gets the state as props, and you sandwich your app between the provider, and that gives you the hydration that you have from the props, from the state into your props.
Can you have multiple providers?
Provider, no, there's only one provider. Okay. And the trick is to propagate every state upward to your parent, just like I said before. So whenever you have like all the states sitting in the parent, you can just take them out, put it in the Redux, and then using the provider to inject the state into your props like that.
So the store,
Mhm.
where's that variable coming from? Oh, okay, it's coming from
Yeah.
configure store.
Configure store, right? And configure store comes from the store script, and this is pretty much just boilerplate how you configure your store.
What do you call the backend? If you want more information about the backend.
Right, the backend. You call your backends here. Well, like I did here, I call my backends in my component. So when my component mounts, I call my backend, and then when the backend comes back, I dispatch an action and then load that data into my store. Just like the load to dos, right, that I did.
Can you have that component grabbing from the store instead of like having the backend, having the store fetch the backend data, and then that component fetching from the store? Would you ever run it like that?
You mean from a store?
Right. So right now you have that component
Mhm.
is listening for the backend
Right.
data.
Right.
Could you have that component listening to the store instead, and the store?
Right, but the store doesn't do anything by itself. The store doesn't initiate an action by itself.
Okay, it just
Yeah.
holds.
It holds the state,
Okay.
and yeah. So you have to initiate action by dispatching an action, and to let the reducer know how to.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
At what point does this data that's being, the state that's being changed in the store go to the back end? Like, is there?
Oh, so when you have a backend, so there will be actions.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a good question. So if I have a backend, I will put my my backend logic here, right? So say do something, to backend, and then return the store. Yeah, we're gonna talk about backend a lot when we get into the merge stack, like with the MongoDB and Express, and it's gonna be a whole lot complicated because you have two pieces of store. You have a store in your front end, you have a store in your back end, which is your database. How you keep them in sync is very complex. So I mean, the thing I can just show you is the Slack, right? Let me just get on Slack. For example, using Slack as an example, I'm pretty sure it's written in React, but just for example, I'm typing. Have you noticed when I type hello, there's a certain time period where it's gray? I'll just say it again. Just watch. This time period is gray, right? That is, the gray is the front end. So when I type hello, initially dispatch to my front end, that my view knows there's a hello. And at the same time, it dispatch an action to the database to save that hello. But they are not sure that the save is gonna succeed, so it shows gray. But once the database comes back, it succeeds, it shows as black. That's why when you have two pieces of stores, this is what's the things you have to think about, the UI and UX, right? For example, in Google document, when you type, you have a spin that says saving, right? That's exactly the same thing. When you have a front-end application talking with the back end, you have to think about, do you optimistically update the front end and then hope your backend succeeds updating, or you do some, very thoughtful way to inform your reader, that your user, that something's happening. Okay, so let me just show again. Yeah, that's very. That's what we think about here. So now we don't have a backend, so we have a front end store. So we just, whenever dispatch, it shows up on the front end. Okay, it's a lot less complicated.
So I guess that's what Instagram is doing. When you send a message and you're not connected to the internet, it'll hold it in your store on your phone locally.
Right.
And then whenever it gets a connection, it will push that change.
That's another layer of complexity. Yeah, without connection. That's right.
Is that something that React has built into it, or is it like the library React? Does it have something that looks for?
No, well, with that, the offline capability, that's something you have to use something like PouchDB, POUCHDB,
Okay.
that has the offline capability. Yeah, React doesn't have anything built in. Okay. So let me go through the action again. So here, when I save, I dispatch a to-do action with the payload new to-do. So I define a add to-do action here, and I have an action type add to-do, and a payload is here, new to-do, which, if this confuses you, it's just like that. New to-do is new to-do. Okay. Then in my reducer, when I have add to do, I return a new state object mutated by this logic. Okay. So I'm spreading. So this state is my previous state. It had some to dos. I spread that here, and I append my new to do from my action in the back. Okay. So so if you do that, you'll see sees that, and your DevTools monitors that, so you can immediately see that you have action, and the payload is new to do. So you see, whatever you define, the action type is very important. You have to add to do here. So if I mess around with my action type, if I add to do 1, 2, 3, add to do 1, 2, 3, and I have add to do 1, 2, 3 here. Oops, it's not defined. So because I didn't have that here. Okay. So once I dispatch an action, oops, I have to change that here. So that's how you label your actions. Give it a name. Okay. So you want to give it a clear name that you'll easily keep track of when you're doing the debugging. Okay. So that's Redux. Let me just add on a handle delete. How about that? So why don't you guys pitch in, help me out?
What was the one that you implemented?
What was what?
Where's the one that
So this is handle save.
handle save? So it'd be this props, like dispatch. Yeah, right. It would be the same thing. It would be delete to do.
Yeah, delete to do.
And then this state.
The index.
Index.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So since I'm needing delete to do's, I want to remember to import it. Okay. So delete to do actions. Since I'm importing it, I better make sure I have it. So function delete to do index, right? Now what? Return.
And call type delete to do. We have to create that
Yeah.
to-dos. To-dos? Or no, you'd have to do something with the index.
Yeah.
So it would just be to-do and then it would be the index.
So what's going on here?
To-dos?
To-dos? Well, so what's my payload? So since I'm coming in with the index, right?
Did you do a map in here?
You just do the filter.
Well, no, this is action. So I'm just returning an object. Yeah. So I want my index. I want my index to be in my payload, right? So I can do something like this to write it out. Index I, right?
Yeah.
The I is coming from here.
Okay, and then it's going to take the index and then filter it with.
Yep. So this is my action. That's that. Very simple.
Mhm.
And in my reducer,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm just gonna have what case? What's this case?
Delete.
Yeah, delete to do. And I want to make sure I import it here. Okay. And return, right? Be the same, right? Object.si.
And then you would take the state and filter out.
Right. Oops. So to do's. And yeah, just take the state, right? I think it should be filter right now. Filters have to do. So to do index right now.
Yeah, can you reference the index from that? I equals not equal to index.
Like that?
Yeah,
But where do I get it? I.
you have to pass it in, right?
No, I don't pass it in because I get it from action.
Okay.
See here, I have action dot to do. I have action.
Action.index.
Yeah. Action dot index.
Oh, it's index?
Yeah, because I call
Oh, yeah,
it.
you
Yeah,
saved it as
I call it. I can call it I here. It'll be
Mhm.
action dot I.
Okay.
So yeah, just remember it's
Oh,
that's a
cool.
rule. Yeah, there's nothing.
Just chaining methods together.
Yeah, there's nothing magic about this. Just didn't remember the rules. That's it, right? Okay. Does it work?
Whoa.
Looks right.
So when you write a bigger component,
Mm-hmm.
does that like switch case logic get like absurdly large and hard to maintain?
Right.
They have different functions too, right? So that's just for the state for the two there?
Right, just for the to do. So you might have a lot of switch, yes, like about 5 or 10. In my app, I have like 10. Like, but then this is just for this to do. So if in my app I have another say calendar, then I
you
have another.
to do like if we end up implementing like a lot more things,
Mm-hmm.
this the switch case is like really hard once it goes beyond like 3 or 4 to understand and like it's just is it the best way to deal with
You mean the switch case?
actions? Yeah.
Why would it be? Because every action is corresponding to a case, right? So you're saying it's going to be hard to understand?
Yeah, I mean, if it's like 10 or 15 or 20, it's just like one gigantic function. I don't even know how I mean, it's just like,
Yeah, that's a good point.
it's just like, how long can it get if your application is big?
Well, you could probably separate out those actions into other functions. Like inside of the case, like inside of each case, you could separate
Or-
the function.
Or if you, yeah.
Yeah, and then you can combine the reducers by saying to do state, comma, whatever the state is.
Right,
Refactor that, okay, I see.
right. You can refactor. Or if you don't want to refactor, yeah. I always believe you write it out. I mean, it'll be easier to understand than you just combine them. So yeah, it's true that you're gonna have a lot of switch cases. So any questions on this? So I can have so if I have another component, right. So should we do the handle strike through, or is it enough?
I mean, let's do it. And we might as well, we have a little time.
Yeah. So let me see. I have handle strike through, right? Okay. So why don't you just help me out here?
Okay, let me see what you did with the other ones. Well,
Dispatch.
Proc.
Start dispatch.
yeah.
And I'll strike
Okay.
through this time.
And then index. Okay.
Cool.
Cool. So let me just import it.
Go to your
Okay.
action.
Go to my actions.
Add.
Turn. Type. Handle strike through.
Okay, let me just put it here. Okay.
And then index I sings.
All right.
Is there any reason why you uppercase that? Like,
Just that it wouldn't be conflict with anything else.
So it's supposed to be a constant?
yeah. But to the right side,
Yeah, it would just be a string, so you can see it in here.
okay.
Okay, so what about reducer?
Case.
So
Strike
through.
And you return a new object.
Okay, we'll just copy this here.
So this is immutable data, essentially?
If you return a new piece of object state every time, then it's immutable.
Okay.
So you see here, when I'm doing time travel, I'm actually traveling from one piece of state to the next
one
piece.
object to
Yeah.
another one.
So if you mutate that state, I cannot travel back.
So you're,
Yeah.
that's really cool. So you're clicking through different objects.
Yeah. Yeah. They just keep the object in the memory, and you just come back to it. So so this is just the same, right? Just gonna copy this handle strike to logic over. No, here. Where is that?
Oh, we have to set the state first, right?
What do I need to change? Change this. Index. Right?
Also have to have that structural state defined.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so you have to have a separate state.
Oh well, separate state? No, I think it's.
Oh, yeah, the state, should the state be held in the to-do then? That to-do item
Mhm.
should have its own state, saying whether it's structured or not.
No, we in our previous example we already passed in the parents, right?
Right.
So before we have it here
Yeah.
in the parent, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the state is here. But that's for new to do.
That's new to do, yeah. But when we reduce it, I mean that's fine. I mean if it has a struct too, it's gonna change it. If it doesn't have it, it's just gonna add it on. So let's see if this works. Okay, works. And struct two is not defined.
Because you're trying to call it on.
Yeah, because I didn't define it here.
Yeah.
I see.
Wrong. Oops. Oh. Can I print state undefined?
Oh, so it's undefined.
It's undefined, huh?
So you have to set it on the to-do itself. That's
Well,
false.
State of what?
I think it's because we have it here, right? Send it.
Oh, no.
Handle strike through equals this handle strike through.
Wait, handle strike through.
But you moved handle strike through.
Wait, strike through is right here.
I think it's the call must be from the to-do item where we check this dot state dot.
Oh, here?
To-do item. Yep, so at the top, this dot state.
But this is for editing.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
Scroll down. Handle just like proper stuff.
Yeah, this is propagating.
This is good.
So it doesn't have a defined handle strike through state.
Oh, it doesn't have it because from our backend we don't have it. I mean, let's see.
Oh,
So let me. If I put it in on here.
yeah.
So, this is help. Wait, let me see if it's struct two. Okay. Oops. No. It's the wrong state of undefined.
Is it props? It's probably props, right?
Let me see.
Yeah.
To But let me just put the again. Let me just put a debugger here.
Man, that's pretty gold.
Yeah. True false. Okay. So
Can you go where?
let me just see.
So that should be props, shouldn't it be? To do props.
Yeah, actually, the to do here. Wait, to do here is good.
No.
Oh.
To do props. Okay. Let me just see that once again.
It's really because you have this the state.
Yeah.
Oh,
State.
oh, the other state. Yeah, you're right. Woo! Oh yeah,
Cool.
good catch.
Can you toggle? Yes.
And I can time travel.
That part I like. that I understand what it's doing.
Yeah, so be careful when you copy your code. It's be a lot to debug.
So can you explain why it's not this dot state?
Because you are getting state from here, from your your state is
State is a new object.
so it's not like in Flux or in a component that this dot state. You have state and action. That's your two of your arguments. So make sure you always use state and action.
You could call it something else, right? You could call it.
Yeah, you can call it that, but it's your state. And in Redux, there's only one piece of state, so just one single piece. And just one thing I want to stress, so your state is, so this is your reducer. If I have a second reducer, say function, say I want to make a calendar reducer. So can I have a state and action and blah blah, a bunch of switch cases here. So one thing is you will add it here to your combined reducer, and then in your initial state, you will be calendar. No, sorry, I shouldn't call it reducer. I should call it state. State, okay. So in your initial state here, it will be calendar state, and you have blah blah blah, whatever you have inside that state. Okay, so this name corresponds to your reducer name. So your reducer take care of that branch of your state, but your state is always going to be like this.
So, since we're having everything handled in like a store, you don't have a class here as your main. You know how you have like a class extends whatever from class. It's just rendering.
Right. Right now, I'm dropping this. This actually is not needed. I can just always grab this and render here.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
So if you wanted to refactor the reducer, can you put them in separate files, like to-do state in its own file, and then export, and then
Right.
here?
Right.
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah, I mean that's the best practice. Yeah. So you should have one state as one file.
One file.
And you're gonna import them in your root reducer.
Got it.
Right. Okay. And a little homework. If you check out my Webpack setup branch, I actually have a calendar branch right here. So let me just where this is. Oh, so I made a calendar for you. It's not pretty looking, but yeah, you can try to study how it works. But with this, you can actually make your own Google Calendar with React.
So instead of stripe through, you just do border.
Yeah. So it's inside that branch. Try to study it. We can talk about it next time. But it's not hard to do if you know React. Everything's easy. Okay. So, any other questions?
I think it's cool.